Welcome back everyone to my YouTube channel, and today we have a very special episode. It's gonna be our first engine rebuild for the V70R, and everything's forged. As you can see, I have the block on the engine stand. In today's episode you're gonna see me prep the block, install the oil squirters for the pistons for each of them, clean the surface, take out the studs that the machine shop left in so I can re-lube with the ARP fastener assembly lube. You're gonna see me torque everything to spec. I'll make sure to give all the details, give every single torque spec for every single bolt that I'm putting, removing, cleaning, or whatever it is. If I for some reason forget something or an information and you want to know, feel free to comment down below and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna put the main bearings, we're gonna put the crankshaft as well. We're gonna lube everything, put the crankshaft case on it, torque it, and then start. I'm gonna be doing the whole engine rebuild in a couple episodes since there's a lot of different steps. I don't want you guys to be a bit overwhelmed. So the first episode is gonna be concentrated on the block and starting the bearing, and that's pretty much it. I think maybe I might include the gapping the piston rings, and I'm gonna explain to you guys how it's done. In another episode you're gonna see me install the rings on each piston. You can see them here, they're beautiful, all machined. They have all been balanced to the same weight. You're gonna see me install it on the pistons, the pins, the piston rings, the connecting rods, the rod bearings, the main bearings. You're gonna see me install all of it, the head studs, everything. I'm even gonna show you guys how I'm gonna install the go fast bit. It's a forged recirculation valve instead of a blow off valve. And shout out to Dan on Instagram, Dan Elias, that linked me this part. He was the one that recommended it, and I think I've already done a video about the fuel system, but just to make sure, I'll go over everything again because I did change some parts. Underneath it you can see there's the XCLUTCH kit. I'm gonna show you in another episode how to set it up, how to align it, the torque specs and everything. I have the upgraded oil cooler as well. I'll give you guys the part number if you guys want to avoid paying the extra money to get it from someone that's reselling it as well. And as for the rest, it's all small gaskets, seals. I have boxes of seals, gaskets, and anaerobic sealer as well. Nothing too complicated, to be honest. It does look a bit overwhelming, but it's pretty straightforward. I'll make sure to be as simple as possible, as direct as possible. And again, if I forget something or you want more detail, don't be shy and just comment down below. So first thing first is gonna be prepping the block. So the first step I'm gonna be doing is taking out the studs. So all of the small studs, the main kit, pretty much. I'm gonna be re-lubing all the threads from the block and from the studs as well. I'm gonna be cleaning the surfaces. I'm gonna be installing the oil squirters for the pistons as well, torquing them, and then we're gonna put the anaerobic sealer as well here on the block surface. We're gonna reinstall the studs, re-lube them again, the top side, and we'll make sure everything is okay. When we're done doing all of that, we're gonna put the crankshaft case as well, and we're gonna re-lube the washers and the nuts for every single stud as well, and then torque them down to spec. Make sure the sealer with the crankshaft case and the block surface did their job. We're gonna make sure it doesn't leak, but it goes out a bit more than the surface, so make sure there's a good contact surface in between both of them. And then from there I would have already put the main bearings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the truss bearing, and then 5. and then I'll be able to put the crankshaft, lube it, put the crankshaft and everything. Next step would be installing the rest, as in pistons and connecting rods. So you guys just saw me remove all of the studs. You saw me use a ratchet, obviously, because my electric tools don't have any batteries and I forgot the charger at work, so I wasn't able to use it. It's not a big deal, it's just taking a couple more minutes than usual, but it's okay since you're only supposed to put them and not tighten them too much, only hand tight. So now I'm gonna be cleaning the surfaces. Now time to lube the main studs and then assemble them and hand tighten them. To apply the anaerobic gasket maker, so you don't have to do it before putting the studs in. It's just that it does give you way more access. If you had the studs, you would have to go around every single groove, every single surface. It would take you way more time. In my case, I'm using a small foam roller. Since this does drink the gasket maker, I'm gonna put 2, 3, maybe 4 coats just to make sure. And then once this is soaked in, it won't absorb as much material, and it's gonna simply spread it evenly everywhere. I also did take the time to clean all 5 oil squirters for the pistons, and you can see there's a difference here. They're all clean. Obviously there's some oil stain. I put them in degreaser and a special product just for that too, and I put them in like 1 cycle of ultrasonic cleaner as well, and they came out perfect. Flow is perfect, they're not clogged. It's not something that clogs usually, but since I'm there, I took the time and cleaned them. Now that all the studs are hand tight, the anaerobic sealer is applied, oil squirters are inside, torqued and everything. Now the next step is, I already cleaned the surface, so I'm not gonna do that. Next step is cleaning the main bearings and the truss bearing as well, this one, and then just putting them in the order they're meant to be, and then that's it. Pretty much I'll lube it up, put the crankshaft, lube the crankshaft, and then put the crankshaft case. So you just saw me put the main bearings, and this is the truss bearing. You want that part, look, they are different. You want that one with the channel to be in the block, the other one in the crankshaft case. And whenever you see me wipe stuff, I simply wipe the back side, because the block side and the back side should never have any kind of grease, oil, or anything oil base. You want it to be as clean as possible, obviously, because you do not want to have any bearing damage. It can be catastrophic for your engine and have an engine failure as well. So you want that to be as clean as possible. I use brake cleaner, and obviously whenever you want to assemble the crankshaft, you put lube here, assembly lube, and that's okay to have lube here. I did forget to mention something. Whenever you're putting the bearings, it's very important to see that there is a notch here. I don't know if you see it here, in the block and in the bearings, which means you cannot put any bearing in any orientation. You need to respect the order that the manufacturer gives you, and you gotta make sure it fits in the, let me just focus, in the notch here. Look, you see here there is a notch, here there isn't. Another important thing is to make sure that everything's perfectly aligned. Look, you can see here. So you do not want the bearing to be sticking out on this side more than this side, or vice versa. You want it to be as close as possible and as flush with the engine block as possible as well. And it's the same case for all others as well. Now I'll be lubing up the main bearings, and then putting the crankshaft in, and then I'm gonna show you how simple it is. You just put it's important to don't be shy. Put enough. You can never put too much. Obviously, don't make it spill all over the place. You don't want to ruin your floor, and just it's annoying whenever it's dripping too much. But don't be shy to cover the whole surface of the bearings, and as much as possible as the lobes on the crankshaft as well. So for that stuff, what I personally use, I use Permatex Ultra Slick Engine Assembly Lube. You can get this stuff from Amazon. If I'm not mistaken, it was around 10 or 15 bucks, which is really cheap, honestly. And you can easily do 2-3 engine builds easily with that, if not more. Completely forgot to show you my crankshaft. This is a fully OEM crankshaft. It's brand new and it has been perfectly balanced. You can see here, and there's other places too. It's been balanced, while the flywheel and the pulley for the timing belt and all of that stuff towards the other side were installed on it. I'll probably slide a small iPhone video I took, a small video I took with my cell. You could see what I'm talking about, and it was balanced that way with the new clutch and the new flywheel as well. You can see now it's fully lubed up. I'm still gonna add a little bit more. It cannot hurt the crankshaft at all, and it should be easy to spin with the hand freely and without feeling any resistance. So you can see I applied some assembly lube over here, not too much, and then you're gonna see you should be able to spin it. You shouldn't feel any resistance whatsoever. It should be a bare minimum of effort for you to turn the crankshaft. If you feel any notching, any grinding, if you hear anything, then it's not normal, obviously. So before you assemble everything, I'd suggest you double check your clearances, your bearings, and if you can actually see any wear already. Now that this is inside the block, next step would be to lube the top of the studs, the ARP studs, all of them. Lube the washers, both sides, and the nuts. And also important to lube the surface where the washer and the nuts will touch on the crankshaft case, so you're sure that the torque specs are as precise as possible, like ARP asks you to do it. I will start by putting the gasket maker, the anaerobic gasket maker, on the crankshaft case, and then after that I'll be able to just lube the heads of the studs and just apply it, torque it, and the crankshaft case would be installed. So now that the crankshaft case is here, first step would be to clean the surfaces, then clean the main bearing places, so the little seats, I guess, I don't know, I'm not sure how it's called in English, and then apply anaerobic gasket maker as well. What's important, obviously, to have a uniform it's important to have a uniform apply of the gasket maker all over the place, especially around this groove here, or else you'll have some low oil pressure or drop in oil pressure during pulls, maybe whenever whenever the engine is hot, cold. I'm not sure exactly when, but obviously it's very important. These are the grooves for the oil pressure. So cleaning and everything. I'm sorry guys, I won't be able to do a time lapse. Like the engine block because I'm running low on battery. For the next episode, I'll make sure that I have both batteries charged so I can do proper time lapses for everything. But it's the same process that you just saw me during the time lapse do on the other engine. I'm just gonna skip to when I'm already done. Now that the sealer is applied, bearings are cleaned and everything, I just have to lube them, and then I'll put them on the engine block, and you can see I already there you go, there's lube on the studs, so it's ready to be installed. So here is the torque sequence we're gonna be using. So it's the ARP1. So you see here every single stud is labeled, and then you have the sequence here, which is step 1, the M10 studs. So number 1 till 12, you do 30 feet-pound of torque, and then the M8 studs, which are 13 through 24, sorry, it's 25 foot-pounds, and then the M7, which are the smallest ones here at the bottom, you're gonna do, it's 25 through 29, it's 15 pounds, and then you redo the M10 ones, the big ones, which are 1 through 12, and then it's 65 foot-pounds.